and welcome to AutoPackager and Jamf Pro, a perfect match. Today I'd like to talk with you about AutoPackager. In this session, you'll learn about integrating AutoPackager and why it's the perfect match for your Jamf Pro environment. My name is Sean Hansberger. I am a senior engineer at the Lindy Group. We're an excellent IT consulting firm. Now, I've been working in device management and engineering for the past 14 years, and I integrate and support Jamf Pro and Jamf Connect for many of our clients. And I also lead development on AutoPackager and had the pleasure of discussing it as a guest of the awesome Mac Admins podcast back in December 2019. Now let's go over the agenda for today. Today, we're going to briefly discuss AutoPackager as a solution for all of your Jamf Pro packaging management and software distribution needs, including what is AutoPackager, its history, some of its features, how to save time in your software and patch deployment, including why you would want to use AutoPackager for that, as well as a quick demo. Now, I've got a quote for you. I believe that 100% of organizations can benefit from some form of automation. The goal here is to give back time to your organization and make it easier to automate repetitive packaging tasks with confidence. So what is AutoPackager? AutoPackager is a macOS app that allows you to easily install the AutoPackage components required to automatically import software packages into Jamf Pro. It includes popular recipe repos to specify which recipes you want to watch for, and it remembers these recipes so you don't have to. AutoPackager integrates with notification systems like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, HipChat, macOS notifications, and email to let you know when you've got something new. Now, here's a brief history of AutoPackager. Lindy Group released AutoPackager back in 2014, and we presented it at JNUC before as part of a presentation, but we've added some great features since then. It's become very popular and served as an integral step in macOS packaging automation for many folks all over the world. Now, I picked it up and started leading development on it in 2019. So here's a few of the newer features added to AutoPackager in the last few years. Now we have support for the current version of macOS, both Big Sur and Monterey, and that includes notarization. Support for macOS dark mode. Support for trust info and recipe overrides. Now that's just a locally trusted version of an AutoPackage recipe. We're going to put a pin on that, so we're going to talk about that later. Support for AutoPackage 2 and Python 3. We added support for Microsoft Teams and Google Chat in addition to Slack and HipChat that we had before. And of course, support for Jamf Pro is not new, but I just wanted to highlight that it works with both cloud and on-premise deployments. So why is AutoPackager the perfect match for your Jamf Pro environment? So AutoPackager runs application recipes nightly for all the applications you want to deploy. This avoids the need for you to manually repackage and re-upload every single title every time there's a patch available. Think of how much time that would save you. This ensures that the latest packages are built, code signature checked, scanned against the virus total database, and uploaded to your Jamf Pro environment each night. That's some awesome automation. Now, why is this important? This ensures that both your policies and your patch management have the latest software available to them at any given time, whether you're deploying to new devices or patching existing ones. It's very important to have that software there when you need it, because this ensures that you can respond quickly to not only your regular patching tasks, but to zero-day vulnerabilities in the applications you deploy. This also helps you handle those notoriously bad vendor packages. And I think We all know who we might be talking about. And this puts everything in harmony, both the tools you use and the methods you use to support it. Remember, the goal is to give back time to your organization and make it easier to automate these repetitive packaging tasks with confidence. So before we get into our demo, I want to take time to go over the demo agenda. Today, we're going to install the AutoPackager macOS app, and we're going to use it to install and configure the command line dependencies. That is AutoPkgr, the JSS importer post-processor, and the VirusTotal analyzer post-processor. We're going to create and run a JSS recipe override. Now, this is, again, just a locally trusted version of a recipe. These recipes are open source, and this gives you a locally trusted version that you can customize if you need to. We're also going to schedule that recipe run using our recipe list. We're going to talk a little bit about macOS and notifications. And we're going to discuss the run update trust info right-click action. So we're going to show you that in AutoPackager, but then also show you how to verify and update trust info in the command line. And we're also going to dig a little bit deeper with policy templates. Policy templates and smart group templates are built into JSS importer that is integrated with AutoPackager. And these are very powerful and thus very dangerous. So I urge you to test carefully and plan your deployments accordingly. But I'm going to give you a few ideas of the types of things that you can do with this. So I hope you'll find that exciting. So with that, let's get into our demo. So this presentation has been sped up for the purpose of time, but you really can get going with AutoPackager really quickly. We're going to start at GitHub, and we're going to install it from there. Because AutoPackager has been notarized, it's going to play nice with Gatekeeper. And so when we install it and launch it, we're going to see that Apple has checked it for malicious software and none was found. So there's our Gatekeeper. We're going to select Open. Now we're going to install the AutoPackager helper tool. And then we're also going to allow notifications for AutoPackager. Now here's AutoPackager. And before you can get anywhere, you have to install the dependencies. And that's AutoPackage and Git. And today we're going to be doing this with an example setup. And you can find more details about this setup in the AutoPackager wiki. And this will be a limited use API user in your Jamf Pro environment. So once we've installed those, we're going to head over to integrations. And because my favorite recipe override editor is Atom, I'm going to configure AutoPackage, and I'm going to select Atom. Make sure AutoPackager knows that that's my favorite recipe editor. Now we're going to install our JSS importer post-processor. This allows you to upload packages to Jamf Pro. And before we configure it, we're also going to remember to install the VirusTotal analyzer post-processor. And once this is installed, this ensures that when your recipes run, they can be scanned against the VirusTotal database. So we'll configure it, and we'll make sure that scanning is turned on. Now, using our limited use API user and our Jamf Pro URL, we're going to fill out the configure. So all you need is the base URL of your Jamf instance. Even if you use SSO, you don't need anything else. No failover URL, just the base URL. We're going to enter our limited use API user and connect it. And because we're integrating with Jamf Cloud today, we're going to add the CDB distribution point for cloud distribution point. And when we save, we can see that all of our dependencies are installed. Now I've taken the liberty of adding some of my favorite repos because I like them. And in AutoPackager, you can sort by your repos, what you've added, the popularity, as well as the status. Green means that your local repo is up to date with the remote repo. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to search for 1Password. Now you can see a status warning here. And so let's take a look with get info. And it seems that I forgot to add one of my favorite repos. So I'm going to click out of here and I'm going to go and start searching for that repo. When I add it, you'll notice that my selections and options improve. So I'm going to use a JSS recipe to create a JSS recipe override. You can see I now have the parent recipes, and I'm going to create a recipe override. You always want to create a recipe override with a unique name. This is a locally trusted version of the recipe. And when the recipe override is created, you're going to get a unique local identifier. So when I get info on this, obviously I have more options now that this is a recipe override. I can open it, I can show it in Finder, I can update the trust info, we'll get back to that. I can even remove it. In this case, I'm going to take a look first, and I can not only have the parent recipes, but my identifier is local. Now I'm going to check it to add it to my recipe list. And when a recipe override is added to your recipe list, you can obviously still run the recipe alone, but when it's checked in your recipe list, it works with the Run Recipes Now button as well as the schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and run this recipe. And because of the magic of AutoPkgr and JSS Importer, it runs my recipe and does some cool stuff for us. So built into JSS Importer integration are some really cool bits of logic. One is a smart group template. It created a 1Password smart group for me that just states that anyone who has 1Password, it's not the latest version, and they're also part of the testing static group. Also baked right in is a policy template. And this policy template builds me a policy, sets a frequency and a self-service trigger. It scopes it to that smart group, uploads the package, updates the inventory, and includes the icon. Really cool, right? So that's all baked in. You don't have to do anything when you create a recipe override there. So before I get ahead of myself, I want to schedule this recipe. And I'm going to pick midnight because that's a good time. And this ensures that my recipe list, my checked recipes that is, are run every night. And if there's a new version, it will upload it to my Jamf Pro. Now, if you're into notifications, you can integrate those with email, Slack, Teams, Google Chat. It's as easy as adding your webhook URL. For now, I'm just going to stick with macOS notifications. Now, before we get too deep, I want to describe a little bit about the policy template. Built into every recipe override is a naming convention, a smart group template that's built in, as well as the standard policy template. Now, this provided that great logic to create the smart group and the policy. What you also get is local hashes for your files. And this means that if the remote recipe ever changes upstream, you'll have the ability to inspect those changes. And if you approve of them, you can update your trust info. So if you ever get a warning in AutoPackager for trust info, you can take a look and update the trust info right from AutoPackager. Now, you get this baked into any recipe override, but what if I have a custom policy that I'd like to do and a custom policy template for something that I've already tested? So I've got a custom policy template here. And for the sake of example, I'd like to show you what it can do. So this custom policy template turns off the recon. It scopes it out instead of scoping to the smart group. It gives a custom trigger and then a more simplified name. And I've configured my Chrome recipe without any smart group information, the simplified title, a custom policy category, and I've let it know that I'm going to be using the custom policy template. And so there's lots of ways to promote recipes, but I wanted to show you this because this is an opportunity to use policy templates in a unique way if I've already tested something. So because it's in my overrides folder, AutoPackager can find it and I can check it and sort to add it to my recipe list. Now, instead of updating trust info from here, I just want to verify the trust info, and I'm going to open it up in the terminal. So I'm going to reveal it in Finder. And because I brought it from somewhere else, I'm going to use the AutoPackage verify trust info command. More V's means more information. So this is going to be okay in this instance, but I can use the update trust info command if there's ever any warnings. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to start with run-vv. It's going to run my recipe, and because I'm not using a smart group template and just my policy template that's unique, it uploads the package, the image, and just builds the policy. Now this is a custom example of something you can do. And again, please always test. So I'm going to refresh, and you can see that it created for me a self-service category, my customized name, a custom trigger for different deployment options, and it scoped it out to all devices to get it in self-service for them. It also uploaded the latest package. Now, when it's available in your self-service policy, guess what it's also available for? Patch management. This ensures when running with the schedule that both your policies and your patch management always have the latest software available to them at any given time. And this works through the magic of the scheduling as well as the notifications to let you know that you've got something new. So it doesn't matter what time you're using this at, whether you're using AutoPackager for the scheduling and command line for day-to-day, you can rest assured that it's going to run on a schedule and it's going to give you a notification whenever you're running a recipe, even if it's one-off. So in addition to the standard policy and smart group templates, you can customize items in the policy template. And there's even patch management templates that we don't have time to get into today, but I think you'll find interesting. But the point is here that your policies and your patch management, whether you're deploying to new devices or existing devices, that your Jamf Pro environment has the latest package available at any given time. So back to the agenda. Today we've discussed what AutoPackager is, a little bit about its history, some of its features, and why you would want to use AutoPackager to save time in your Jamf Pro environment. And of course, our demo. So on to the most important part, onto community resources. So AutoPackager is available on the Jamf Marketplace and GitHub. But please be sure to check out the AutoPackager wiki to get started with the JSS importer integration, as well as the limited use API user for AutoPackager. So you can learn all about JSS importer on the AutoPackager wiki, as well as the JSS importer wiki. But if you want to learn about the command line tool of AutoPackage itself, the best resource is the AutoPackage wiki. Now, if you like presentations for learning, Graham, the maintainer of JSS importer, did a great presentation in JNUC 2019 that is a really deep dive into AutoPackage. He also has great resources on his website, including a new, even more modular tool called Jamf Upload. There's also going to be some great presentations from many folks this year about AutoPackage. Now, these are only a few of some of the great resources from great people. I really want to highlight the community aspects of the JNUC and Mac admins community. None of us learns alone, and none of us excels alone. We need each other today more than ever. And I just wanted to let you know to please be sure to check out the JSS importer, Jamf Upload, and AutoPackage channels on the Mac admin Slack. They're really important, really helpful. Now, in this session, I really hope that you've learned about integrating AutoPackager and why it's the perfect match for your Jamf Pro environment. I want to thank you for listening. I hope you have a great JNUC and stay safe.